Hey everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, got myself a new boxwood. We're at the end of October and I got this boxwood a couple weeks ago from a friend of mine from the Minnesota Bonsai Society. Well, I didn't get it from him, but he picked it up for me. He showed me this kind of hole-in-the-wall nursery just tucked behind some areas up near the Anoka part of Minnesota, north of the metro. And he showed me this little hole-in-the-wall hideaway nursery, and we found some boxwoods that have been sitting there for a long, long time. He's got great reduced prices, and he's just lucky or happy to get rid of them many of the times. So I'm going to take a peek at this boxwood today, and I'm just going to get rid of all those absolutes that we don't want. I'm not going to take it out of the pot. We're not going to repot it till the spring. It's got a nice 1-inch plus thick trunk with some little bit of a texture here, like almost like a hole, like we have some critters in there. We do have some moss here that we're just going to scrape off and kind of clean off for the winter months so it doesn't get any mold issues. So we're just going to take a peek at this thing and see what we can do. So I haven't discovered my front yet. However, I really do like this little feature here. It's kind of like that little bird nest area. Not a nest, but more of a hollow log in a tree. Maybe an owl sitting in there. Although I think owls, hang up more on the tops. But that could be a front. And the roots flare. Let me get a close-up of the root flare from that front. So there we have our little hole, little critter hole. So it's a defect. A branch might have been there and it got a little rotted out, but kind of adds some character. So we have a flare down here, a root here, a root there, and a root there. So pretty good radial. When you twist it around, we got this kind of squeeze thing together there. This back around here is not quite so attractive. And then back over here, we have another little root where we can see a round right there and there. So this could possibly be a front someday too. So it looks like a couple of options. But first of all, I just kind of like this as the front for right now. So back out wide. Now that I think this may be the front, let's go up the tree. So if the front was right head on to this little hole here, we got this branch kind of in our way. There's a nice thick branch back there. That's the main branch. And there's a branch back here too that's super thick. So I'd probably want to tilt it one way or the other. Or maybe we get rid of this branch right here and let it heal up. But that's right up close to the front. It's close to this indent in the tree, which gives it that character. Where you have to keep that clean so it doesn't rot out and kill the tree. So we've got some branches that are in here. One right in the middle, kind of growing in there. We'll get rid of that. Nice old looking bark on this thing. And again, we got 3 main trunks, and back here it splits a couple times. It doesn't split till way up here though. So most likely this tree would be, I'd chop it down someday to like this big. Right here. So all this is going to probably come off. But how aggressive to be and when. So our growing season is pretty much done. We're going to keep this probably in the cold frame this winter because it's new to me and I'm going to chop it. And if I have room, I'm going to keep it in the cold frame so it's protected. It is a boxwood that's sold at a Minnesota nursery, so this should be cold hardy in Minnesota. But my first year with it, I'm not going to risk it. It probably would be safer outside all year in the winter in this than in a bonsai pot though. So if I didn't have space, I would be fine keeping it out. So this backside makes it look really thick up here and have reverse taper. So this really won't be a good front, and this comes right too much at us. I think our front is going to be what we originally were thinking, somewhere right in there. So I'm going to cut down the length right away. Thin out the tree. A couple of big cuts right off the bat there. Thins it out a little bit. Got this long branch here with no branches in between here and here. And it kind of cuts back in over here. Here's a little smaller branch. Let's look at that all off. I've got a nice division up here into 2, so I'll cut that off. This is real thick in here. There's not a lot of nice growth down here. So this whole thing can come off. I got all this right here. This is coming in our way. We'll cut that off. So I didn't need any of that right here because I've got all this right here. This is kind of coming out at us and there's growth below it. So I'm going to cut that right there. So now we're getting a little bit more to a shape to this thing. So this one right here is way too thick way up here, and there's a nice thin branch behind it. So I'm going to cut that big thick one off. Clean it up a little bit. We'll have to see how that heals next year. Leaves pretty much cover it right now from even camera view, I'm assuming. So we have this section right in here now. This has new growth here and here and here. This is a big long branch right here. It comes from the center in here. I'll shorten that up for the moment. Cut that shorter. Cut that back shorter. Shorter. As you can see, there's not a lot to see right here in this section right here, but we got all this new growth right in here. So these leaves right here, these branches here will leave all of this right here to take off for next year, and those could become perhaps leaders down the road. So this big Y junction here is probably going to be completely gone. The question is, do I take it off now? I will go down to here, because that brings this one as a new leader. And there's a branch right here in the back growing straight out of the midsection of that. Looks kind of awkward. So from the back you can see it's still pretty thick. You got branches tangling within each other. A lot of stuff on the inside. We'll go ahead and clean off a couple of these dead ones, inside branches that we just don't need. Crossing branches. This big long leggy one down here going in a really weird direction. We don't need some of those. So I got a big old mess back here. Got one little skinny one here, 2, 3, 4, 5, and inside there's 6. We have 6 branches growing from that spot that I cut back earlier too. And if you look from the back, we have a nice branch going this way, another branch growing this way, but more down, one way down here too. So we have some nice branches back here, but they're all hidden. And that top part right there, that's just a big old bulge, just not attractive. And we have other branches to cover that hole, so we're just going to cut it off. Big bulge, look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 branches all from that spot. It's where I cut it before. Now we just cut the branch off. And as you can see by cutting it off, there's a hole here, but this is going to fill it in quite nicely. So not a horrible cut by any stretch. We've got lots of possibilities for the future. There's some more dead ones in here, growing on the inside. A lot of back budding over here. growing from this spot. I'm going to cut it back to 2, trim it down, trim it down. Makes this branch look a little big now. Trim it down. You can see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 branches trying to grow in that same spot there. And even down lower here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 branches in this area. So, need to clean some of that up and see what it does next year. So super thin up here. The sun's going to get in here and make all these lower ones get big, and we'll kind of see how that all takes off next spring. I think this one is going to be a goner. We got this one back here that might do something. We can get rid of this one and use this one, or keep this one alive. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the spring. So we got this branch now here that's super thick. I'm growing straight up, crossing into the other side over here, straight up, crossing over here. Just a little thick. So we'll just see what that does next year. This one's growing down. We have a really nice branch here from this back part. We got this right here. These two cross each other. So that ain't gonna work. So we'll just cut that out and open it up. We're gonna go a little bit deeper because this one crosses back here. That's almost required a saw. We'll just keep chopping at it. Get down towards the bottom. It's in the back. I'll never see it, and this branch right here can take over. One of these two, plus we've got some back button in here, down lower. So we have this as the main leader, a couple other branches out here. This one's a little bit thick, but we're just going to leave it like that. We're going to come back in the spring and we'll get this thing in a new pot so we can check out all the massive root system down there, and we'll let it go for the spring and summer. Just let it go crazy and see what it does, see how it grows back. So there is the new boxwood. Just a little trim before winter. I'm gonna go get my toothbrush and clean off some more of this moss so it doesn't go into the cold frame with that moss. We want to clean that off. Could give it a light little scrub with some vinegar and oil and water, but I think if I just go ahead and use my fingers and the toothbrush, looks like, or my wire brush, I got a little wire brush I can get on here too, and we'll get some of that moss off. That's in the back right now. So there we have a fun little boxwood. And again, like I said in the beginning of the show, this will come down to about here. I just didn't want to cut it out completely bare this year because it is new to me. Let's see what grows back in the spring. We've opened it up for light to come in there and get some more back bud. There is a lot of back bud on it right now, here and here and here and here. And inside the front, there's all this back in here. So we have a decent amount of back bud already happening. So there we have a boxwood all ready to go. So our update for today is one of two things. So first I want to go down to the vegetable garden area that's really starting to get full of trees, and then I want to give you that update on the Thanksgiving cactus. First, let's head down to the garden. So I'm super excited because I got my first rows of trees kind of protected behind the leaf bags, and Though we're gonna have some decent weather in the next week or so, they're all sitting back here. We'll make sure that we're watering them okay, and they're getting prepped for winter. So they're gonna be out of the wind, out of the sun when we start to get to those cold temps. But while I was moving some of the trees, I've got an update for my larch. So I most recently in one of my episodes went up to northern Minnesota, and in the larch bogs got some nice larch and some spruce trees. But here are the larches from the collection, not this year but last summer. So they're a year and a half. I didn't do anything. They're still in the pumice and the sphagnum moss. Now, one of the fun things about this big guy is you can see the fall color. So all the leaves from my neighbor's tree were falling in all my pots this year, so I have maples for next year. But here's the fun part. Look at the bottom of that pot. I've got the roots of this larch growing right through the bottom of the pot. So 2 of the trees that I pulled up from my mulch area had roots growing right out the bottom. That's a great sign. That tells me that the roots are reaching out and spreading out, and this thing's doing really, really well. My second update is the Thanksgiving cactus. So it's too cold outside. I don't want to damage all the flower petals, but I took some pictures earlier today in my stages of opening up of the flowers. So here you see some buds coming out on the Christmas cactus. Now, these buds are on long branches that came inside from the cold, so the branches being kind of soft and movable, pliable, I have kind of a weeping tree now, a weeping Thanksgiving cactus with all kinds of buds. So we've got several that are opening, many that are open all the way, and some that still have a ways to go. So another YouTuber gave some tips to make sure that you keep it kind of dry, keep it kind of cool, and keep it in the dark more when you bring it in from your outside time. And so I did that, and the buds just shot out like crazy, and you're seeing now the results. So super fantastic. Another great day of bonsaiing. Thanks for watching. Click like, hit subscribe if you haven't already. It's time to take off. We'll see you very, very soon. So take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you on the next one.